Go. I've already tried to do one take of this video, and my cat immediately started using the litter box and like, oh, now she's eating. So on top of the fan, you can hear her little crunch munch. Okay, let's just do the damn video. Hello, Friendzies, welcome back to my channel. And welcome to whatever the hell this... Am I off center? There we go, that's better. Welcome to whatever the hell this mini-series is. I could have just called it, like, White Woman Has Controversial Opinions, like I've done in other videos, these videos. I've already made videos like this, but I don't know what this is. You know what it is? It's my new, like, verbal stim that I get from Luxy Games, which I am going to bring up one more time briefly in my disclaimer, but it's my new like vocal stim that I have from her, because like I'll say it out of nowhere, not even when I'm about to say something controversial, and she doesn't even say it when she says something controversial, because she rarely says something controversial, but she'll say it like out of nowhere. She'll be like, and can I just say something, like, I deserve a sweet treat, and like I have started saying that all the time. Anyway, quick disclaimer for this video. I need you to understand that this video is a hill that I will absolutely die on. If you want to fight with me about it in the comments, like, you're gonna have to die mad about it. I will die on this hill. This is a hill that I will absolutely fucking bunker defend. Like, bunker the trenches, World War II guerrilla warfare kind of bullshit defend. But this is a hill I will absolutely die on. So the quick disclaimer is I'm only speaking about America. There was a whole discourse about this in like England specifically in Luxy Games chat like a year ago, I think, maybe even 2 years ago at this point. I feel like how long I've been following her is kind of like time warpy. There was like a discourse specifically about this with like England. And my other disclaimer is like, there's 1,000,001 exceptions to everything. It's when we all come together and use our brains and have a nuanced conversation. And also the other disclaimer is like, how do I say this? There are so many things that I could also be doing. There are 1,000,001 things that I could be doing differently, except for this one thing. So if you want to say, oh, well, you're arguing about this, but you're doing XYZ, you're not doing XYZ, like, yeah, you're right, and I need to be better about that, but I'm not doing this one thing, and this is the thing that I will die on, the hill of it. So let me get into today's video. 3 minutes into the video, and I still even haven't said exactly what I'm talking about. Let's talk about cats, and let's talk about the indoor-outdoor cat situation, okay? Because I have a lot of things to say about that. So a couple videos ago, I don't remember at this point if it was like mid-June or if it was earlier this month. I don't really remember, but I had talked briefly. Ooh, the lighting got spooky. I kind of talked briefly about it and didn't want to go into too much depth, and I'm not going to go into too much depth here, that my elderly 18-year-old cat was not doing well. He has since passed since that conversation, but he was 18 years old and he lived a very long, happy life. I'm trying not to cry, but he lived a long, very happy life, and he was with my family since I was like 9 years old, and I'm 29 now. So we had him for a long time. Maybe we got him when I was like 10. I don't know, but we've had him for a long time, and he lived a very long life. He was with us. He was 18 years old, which like in cat years, that's like he was like 96 or something, and he was very sick, but it was a sickness that came after his long life. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just like a freak thing that happened. Which brings me to the point of what I want to talk about is cats that are indoor, outdoor, or like outdoor cats that people take care of because they're their pets don't fucking exist. That's not your pet. That's a stray that you occasionally take care of. And I refuse to believe that anybody that has the means, because again, there's so much nuance to this conversation. There's people that have pets that end up being homeless. There are people that like get sick and can no longer take care of their cats, so they have to send them to shelters, but those don't always work out, and some cats escape. Cats that do escape because they're little gremlins. I'm looking right at my precious baby who's sleeping in one of my closets right now, who would bolt if I gave her the fucking chance. There's 1,000,001, exceptions to this. However, if you have the means and everything, and you are somebody that like has pets, has cats, and you do have the means to take care of them, and there's not something that like pulled the rug out from under you or anything like that. So you know exactly who I'm talking about. If your cat's indoor or outdoor, that's not your fucking cat. That's not your pet, and you're a bad pet owner. You're a bad cat owner. You're a bad pet cat parent. You're a bad one. That's the hill I'm gonna die on. Because the thing is, again, so, and this is why I said, like, there was a whole discourse about this, I guess, in Lexi's chat about, like, cats in England. Because, like, a lot of people, I guess, in England let their cats just, like, go outside all the time. Like, and I mean, that's just it. I don't live in England. I don't live across the pond, so I guess I can't speak for them. Although I kind of feel like they're not so different than us. And I know one of my other favorite content creators, like, lets their cat go outside without a leash, without a harness, without, like, just lets them go out and wander. And I have, like, a lot of feelings about that because that cat is so cute and lovely and he seems to love her so much. But then I'm like, what are you doing? Because, again, this is the hill I will die on. I can say for America, there's so many things that's going to get your cat killed if you take them outside without a leash, without a harness, without like some kind of safety measure where they could just wander and like disappear for 2 or 3 days. My brother had cats at one point when he was living with a partner that just wandered all the time, and pretty much all of them either fully got sick or got sick and died. And none of that would have happened in the ways that it did. Because I'm not going to say cats can't get sick from like things inside your home. Of course they can. They're like toddlers. They can get sick from getting into anything. They can get sick from like mold in your home. I'm not saying that. But the ways in which cats get sick and then like subsequently die from being outside can be immediately canceled out by not letting them get outside. Or taking them outside with a leash, with a harness, in like one of those backpacks where they can still sniff and like feel the breeze. My cat goes in a stroller where it's mostly mesh, so she still has access to like the breeze and smells. I can put grass in her face and she can sniff. All of that can like, all of the consequences of like, oh no, my cat got hit by a car, like all of it can be taken care of if it just doesn't fucking happen. Cats have been like the cats, if you don't know, domestic cats that people have as pets, have been genetically bred to not be able to survive. If you are not a cat person, if you've never had pet cats, this is the truth. If you have that like belief that cats like, oh, well, they'll learn how to hunt and blah, blah, blah. Maybe some of them, but most of them will die. Most of them will. A lot of people have a really like negative opinion towards cats. You see videos of people like a cat will be like sitting on a fence and somebody will go and just push the cat off the side of the fence. People are just like very rude and awful to cats, and I like will never understand why. I know the reasoning that people give it, or like excuses that people give it. I'll never understand why we need to just be like brutal to animals just because they're not a dog. You know? And that's just it. The idea that cats could survive on their own because they'll learn how to hunt. So a lot of them have no fucking clue. There's instincts, absolutely, but a lot of them still don't really have an idea. And instincts or not, it can't always keep you alive. Especially when through years, centuries, however long we've been domesticating cats, they've literally evolved to be house pets. I don't know which other way to say that. They don't have any fucking clue. If you've ever had a cat, you know that they are the most intelligent creatures on the planet and also the absolute fucking dumbest angel baby you've ever seen in your life. My darling daughter is an example of both. I've watched her like contemplate what I'm saying in a sentence and fully understand me and do her best ability without the English language or opposable thumbs to answer the question I'm asking her. I've also seen her almost fall down the stairs because my brother walked too quickly past her. You think she's gonna survive in the wild? If anything, I think she could survive like maybe 3 days. If she got out, God forbid, I think she could survive maybe 3 days because she is a really good mouser. She is really good at like catching mice. We used to have a mouse problem in the old apartment I lived in, and she ate one. And she left stuff for later, which makes me want to vomit every time I think about it. However, She's also kind of a brat, and she's looking right at me, and I love her so much, but she's also kind of a brat, and she would absolutely pick a fight with a creature that is much bigger than her and get her shit rocked. She'd also probably try to eat something that could kill her because like she is afraid of garlic, and they are allergic, like cats are allergic to garlic. It could poison them. If you don't know, but cats are also allergic to onions, and she will walk right up to an onion and at least give it a sniff. And she did try to lick one once. She hasn't done it since, but she did try to lick an onion once, and that could kill her. So she wouldn't survive outside. As much as she thinks she would, she wouldn't survive outside. I never let my cats outside without some kind of harness or protection on them. I take Nugget for walks in her fucking stroller, but because she's in a mesh stroller and she doesn't have opposable thumbs to figure out the zippers. We tried to bring Simba outside a couple times. We brought him out in the stroller, and we brought him out in a harness one time, but he hated the feeling of the harness, so he just went like dead weight, and he was like, we had a cat in the apartment we used to live in. There was a cat that but behind us was like an assisted living home, and I think he was a stray because the way we got Simba was somebody left a box of kittens by the woods that used to be behind our house, and he was screaming because he was cold. And my mom and dad brought a turkey because it was right after Thanksgiving, and brought him inside, and they were freezing cold. Thankfully, they weren't too dirty, and they didn't have too many fleas because it must have just been a drop. But there were a lot of stray cats in my neighborhood because there was a lot of woods where we used to live, and people would just drop cats off. We would see a lot of strays in the area, but then we wouldn't see as many strays. You get what I'm saying? They're not surviving. There was one cat that the assisted living facility behind my house I believe he was well taken care of. The thing is, they didn't have the resources to be able to care for him, as in like take him inside and give him the life and the enrichment and everything that they needed. Also because he was not one of their patients, and they had patients that they needed to care for. But they did the best they could. They kept him, anytime he needed flea collars, they gave him flea collars. He was pretty well fed between them and all of the other houses in the neighborhood because everybody knew him. He was very handsome. His name is Smokey. As of this point, I don't know if he is still alive. We haven't lived there for almost a year at this point, and we don't really visit as much as we used to because it's kind of hard to time when he would be hanging around the house. But he was one of the only actually, he is the only cat. He is the only cat that survived as long as he was in the neighborhood. He started coming around like 4 or 5 years after we got Simba, and I mean, as of last year, he was still alive and kicking. So he's been around. He's an older cat, and he's the only one that like really survived. So that's just it. The ratio of like 1 to maybe 20. He's the only one that made it out. And the thing is, realistically, if he's not dead right now, which makes me very sad to even think about, he probably will be soon because he's getting older. He's completely blind in one eye. He's missing chunk of an ear. He has gashes healed, so he has scars like all over his body. I mean, his fur's healed over them at this point, but he has scars all over his body, and at one point he had a hole in the back of his neck because of an altercation he got into, I believe, with another cat, but it also could have been a hawk because there was a hawk that scooped up a neighbor's cat because he was an outdoor cat, and they were like horrified, rightfully, and took him to the vet and took care of him as best they could when he would stay inside. But I guess he was a cat that made lots of runs for it. But at the same time, if your cat got scooped up by a hawk, I would be significantly more careful about letting him get outside. There was also a cat in our neighborhood that, like, you could tell he wasn't all there. His brother had all of the brain cells. You could tell. And he was outside constantly. He got hit by a car at one point, I guess, and broke his little arm, and then was outside all of the time limping around with his little cast on. And it's like, he's going to get his shit rocked. He's either going to get hit by another car or somebody's going to come and take a chunk out of him, because we had coyotes at one point in our neighborhood as well, because of land development for houses that people can't afford. So there were a lot of coyotes in my neighborhood at one point, and a lot of household pets went missing. So Do you get what I'm getting at? I don't understand anything about dogs. I really don't know how to care for them or anything. But can you understand what I'm saying about cats? They are not outdoor animals in any way, shape, or form. The only reason your cats should ever be outside is if they're on a harness, in a stroller, on a catio, anything like that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to let your animal like experience the outside, but it needs to be in a way that if there is danger, whether that's a car, whether that's like chemicals or anything that they could eat and like kill themselves because it's poisonous to them, like bugs, other animals, anything like that, there needs to be a way for you to be able to get that animal out of there as fast as possible. So again, a leash, a harness, any of those cool cat backpacks that are like mostly mesh so they can be like a stroller like Nugget has because she's elevated off the ground. Are you kidding me? Hornets, you know, like hornets and wasps and shit. One of them gets too close to my stroller. I'm like lifting the stroller like how mothers lift cars off of their babies and like throwing her into the house because if that there's like a little opening in like the side of her stroller because it's just like it's like fabric and mesh, and if that one of those things gets inside, it's gonna panic, she's gonna panic, it's gonna sting her, and I'm gonna have to burn my house down and all of the, you know, neighboring everything to make sure that no hornets ever live again. You know what I mean? This is absolutely a hill I will die on, and if you want to argue with me in the comments, like I said, then we can all just die mad about it because this is not something that I'm ever going to like let up about. This is one of like my strongest opinions that I will not listen to like reason or whatever because I still don't the cats as they exist now are domesticated animals. They won't survive outside. If they're like Smokey and they survive for as long as Smokey survived, they're going to end up incredibly injured. Smokey realistically doesn't really have a life. I don't think, or a quality of life, I should say. I don't think he has a quality of life. He's completely blind. He's missing a chunk of one of his ears. He's been like heavily infected due to wounds multiple times. And he doesn't really have a home to go to. He goes to people's houses and he slept under our porch all the time and he slept on our porch a lot of the time. But like, he doesn't really go into houses. One of our old neighbors used to beat him and you could tell that she used to beat him because he's very skittish around people all of the time. And even if like he loved my mom, but even if I like walked too quickly towards him or like reached my hand out too quickly for him to sniff, he would flinch like I was about to beat the shit out of him. Different bugs, different animals that like rats and mice, depending on like what area they're in. If people are having like rat and mouse problems and they're putting out pesticides and shit, if the cat then eats that animal, they're gonna die from the poisoning. Do you get it? Like, is it clicking? This is so serious to me as a pet owner. And like, again, there are a million and one things that I could be doing differently and better for my cat. From like the food and litter she uses to like the enrichment time I give her and the toys that I provide, a million and one things that I could be doing better. I could get her nails trimmed a lot quicker than I do. I don't get her nails trimmed as often as I should because it costs a lot of money. But also, like, I don't need to buy stupid shit half the time. I could go pay to get her nails done. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much you can critique me on as a pet owner, except for this. Because you'll never catch me letting my cats outside. If my cats... The thing is, if I had the means to have a catio and I could have brought Smokey with me when we moved and he made a fucking run for it every time I opened a door, it doesn't matter. It takes time and patience. And a lot of people that have like, and this is a whole separate thing, but I'm going to say this. A lot of people that have children, when I'm speaking about time and patience, a lot of people that have children should have dogs. And a lot of people that have dogs shouldn't have animals. Okay? So again, nuance here, right? Use your brain. Use your brain. If you're like, well, what about people that suddenly become homeless? Their animals are going to be outside. That happens. The thing is, people in situations like that usually give a shit about their animals. People that don't give a like you can't convince me you care about your cat if you let them be indoor, outdoor. You can't convince me you care about your cat because there are so many things that could kill your cat the instant they walk out the door, and you're just like, yeah, go ahead and explore, bud. You can't convince me that you care. So that's the video. That's my can I just say something about this week? And the next week I think is gonna be I don't think this is controversial. I don't think Last week was more funny. I don't think this is a controversial take, and I literally won't hear any arguments against it. If you want to agree with me in the comments, absolutely. But if you want to argue with me in the comments, again, you can die mad about it because you're not going to convince me to the other side of the argument. Next week might actually be some controversial takes that like are not that serious. This is the serious one. Next week, my rapid fire takes are not going to be this serious. I just really wanted to say this because I've been thinking a lot about cats recently. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed and if you agree with me because I'm right. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.